Welcome back to another class of Python for app development. In our previous class, I've shown you about how you can create yourself a layout and also customize it the way you want to. In this class, I'm going to show you about the box layout, which is also part of the first and foremost thing while creating yourself up an app just by using Python. Now, most people think that, okay, you can create the whole thing at once. But just like I said at the beginning of this course, I'm going to have each and every class and I'm going to show you everything to get you started step by step. So I have created this class just for you to know how you can only customize the box. And it's also going to be very simple if you understood a bit about the first lesson on customizing your widget. So without any further ado, let's move on to our class with PyCharm. As you can see, I have opened up, I'm using the same file which I've been using in my previous classes. So one thing what you're going to do over here on this console is that you have to create a box layout, which is going to help you to customize this specific panel, okay? Because we are going to be creating ourselves a couple of different segments, which is going to help us to create the app and make it look a lot more better. So first thing you're going to do over here is go off of the second line of this, and then you're going to create a class. Now in the class, what I'm going to do is going to be using box layout example. So that is what I'm going to be putting. Okay, I'm just going to put in EX. Now inside, open a parentheses, and I'm going to put in box layout. Okay, so that is our main file. And then put in a colon, which is going to help us to pass up the whole thing. Okay, so here I'm going to put in pass colon. I'm going to pass it off. Now, after I pass it off, I'm going to create another main interface. Okay, so if I just play out the whole thing, it will give me the same type of interface, but it is not being uploaded. It's because we have not passed out the box example. Okay, so you have to keep that thing in mind. And now we're going to go off and we're going to do is going to be creating ourselves this layout. So Control C, we're going to copy that up. And you can also play up this one, the box layout, which is not going to represent anything. You can see it is going to end up with the exit code. That's it. Okay, and we're going to do is going to be making the box layout as an example. You can also try putting in example over here, and if I play out the whole thing, it's also going to give us the same like output. Okay, so we're going to do is going to like interpret it just a bit. So what I'm going to do is going putting in a command which is going to help us to bypass the whole thing. Okay, so first off, we're going to put in pass, and after the pass, we're going to do is going to be putting in a space dash dash, or you can put in underscore, which is also going to help us to understand it a lot more better. Okay, so you're going to put in def and then init, okay, instead of pass. So I'm going to put in def space underscore 2. I'm going to put in init and then put in self, which is going to help us to customize our box layout. So here I'm going to put in this specific command, which you're going to follow up. Instead of self and closing up the parentheses, put in a comma and then put in 2 asterisk sign. And then instead asterisk sign, you're going to put in KWARGS. Okay. Now you might think that what is it for? So basically this is an argument which we basically use KWARGS. So you can try using it again, put in 2 asterisk sign, even though we're not going to be using it, KWARGS, okay? So put in 2 asterisk signs, space it up a bit, KWARGS. You can see which is a dot afterward, and you can also see the next step of this when you put in this command or this argument. So you can close up the parentheses, and then you can put in a colon to bypass the whole thing. So here inside, I'm going to do is going to be putting in another line, which is going to be on this indentation level. And you're going to put in super, which is going to help us to actually define what we want to do. So instead of super, what you're going to do is going to be opening up the parentheses and keep it closed with the parentheses and nothing inside of it. And you're going to put in init again. And here you don't have to put any space because this is going to be bypassing the whole command and the whole argument. So I'm going to put in init. It's going to put in double underscore and init, which is going to help us. init, and then underscore again. And you can see it will change up the color when you are using any arguments. And inside, we're going to use the variable as the argument. So I'm going to put in kw to asterisk vargs over here. And now this time we're not going to be putting in any colons. Okay. So we're going to use a specific variable. Okay. So which is going to customize our button. So here I'm going to do is going to be putting in b1, which is going to be our variable, and put in an equal. Now, as we are using a variable, you can put in an equal, even though I've told you that when you are working with KV file or Python file by using the GUI library, you should always use colon. But when you are trying to work with any specific variable inside of Python, then obviously you should use the equal sign. Okay. Now we have to import the Kiwi button inside of this box layout, which is going to help us to define where and which segment should this button be. Okay, so I'm going to put in button. You'll already find it, button, and open up the parentheses. And inside of your button, we're going to import up the Kiwi file. So I'm going to put in Kiwi, and you're going to put in the Kiwi UIX inside of it. Okay, so just copy the whole thing, which is basically this one. Okay. So you can also directly present it up inside. So you're going to put in text inside. Text. Okay. So inside the text, what you're going to do is going to be using the same commands inside of that. Okay. So we're going to put in this variable. So I'm going to do is going to be putting in equal, and I'm going to put in a. Okay. So I'm going to do is use the a variable. I'm going to put in a, and always make sure to like put in this variable, or when you're using the variable, put in equal, not a colon. Okay. Now inside the second button, we're also going to make another variable, which is going to help us to actually put the second button. Okay. So the A or the B1 is for the first button, and for the second button, we're going to create another one. Okay. So I'm going to put in B2 and equal. We're going to put in button, and inside we're going to do is going to be opening up the parentheses, and inside I'm going to put in a text, which is going to be equal space equal, and inside you're going to put in the same variable. You can also use a different variable whenever you want to. So I'm going to put in this variable, and I'm going to put in B. Okay. So basically this class has been almost created, and now I'm going to add the widget inside of it. So for that, I'm going to create another line. I'm going to put in the self argument, self dot, I'm going to put in add underscore widget. Okay. So the widget is going to be inside of this whole box. So if I just play it up, you can also just play up the whole thing and check it out. You'll basically see it will not be defined yet because we did not customize the Kiwi file. So let's say this Kiwi file is going to be representing where and where it should be. Okay. So make sure to put this thing up, and you have to play up the whole thing. Okay. So make sure to keep all of these the same. And one thing you can see over here is that we have a couple of errors inside of it. So I'm going to do is going to be putting in a bit of space over here, play up the whole thing. And you might see that this will not like represent up. So I'm going to go off of the Kiwi file. And when you play up the whole thing, it will also show you an error. It's because the main widget is not still being bypassed up. Okay. So you have to keep that thing in mind and work along with it. Okay. So text, use the text. So I'm going to reduce up the size of this, try playing it again, and you will basically see that it might show you as an argument inside. Okay. So use these same commands, which I've used up. Okay. So after running up the whole thing, so basically you have to define it right now. So which button do you want to be defined? So here we can put in, let's say button 1 or button 2, whichever one you prefer. So let's say I'm going to use button 1 as my variable. So you can see this has already detected up my variable, but here you're going to change it up. Instead of the app, you're going to put in, let's say Kiwi, and then you're going to put in UIX again, UIX, which is going to be this specific variable. And then you're going to put in, let's say, dot widget. Okay, so there we go. We have the whole thing, and now you can play it up. And if you play it up, you can see import cannot import name app from the Kiwi UIX. So you can see this is still the app running, but we have to turn whole of this into the button settings, which is going to help us to define which button it should play up. You can see cannot import name button from Kiwi.UIX. So you can still see that this is still not determining where it should be. So you have to keep that thing in mind and you have to turn this into widget. Okay. So what you're going to basically do is going to be keeping this from Kiwi instead of widget. You're going to turn it into button, which is going to help you to like use it up. And you can try playing it anytime you want and you might still find errors. You can see now this time it is telling me the name error is going to be like this. Okay. So you have to just customize it or customize where it is showing you that where or which box layout you want to use. Okay. So there we go. We have the specific box layout defined and we have the definite value over here. Now, basically, when you see these errors, one thing you're going to do is going to be make each and every one of those import into over here because it cannot like show you the variables or it cannot import up the things. And only when it cannot import up the things, this is how it will look like. Okay. Another thing what you're going to do is that you're going to go off of the Kiwi file and here what we're going to do is going to be changing this. Okay, so instead of the button, we're going to be turning them into labels. So it's because we are going to need the whole section and we are not going to be using the Kiwi file. So basically, if we play it up right now, you'll basically see it is going to be showing me invalid syntax. It is because it cannot find out main, let's say the main widget. So instead of using the main widget, what we're going to do is going to be turning it into box layout example. So I'm going to do is going to be typing in box layout example and you're going to put in a colon and obviously try using the colon most of the time. And here I'm going to put in the second button, which is basically going to help me to define it. But let's just play out the whole thing. And when we play out, you'll basically see this is showing me this error. Okay, so I'm going to do is going to be cutting this off, play out the whole thing, and you'll basically see A is being represented. So one thing you can see is that we are not using the KV file. We are only using the Python file. So basically, this is also one of the errors which you might face most of the time. So one thing you're going to do most of the time when you are working with, just the Python file to make out that box layout is that whenever you are working with any specific example, let's say the box layout or the box layout over here, you're going to import it directly to the from command into the first lines, which is going to help you to define which one are you trying to work up with. And you're going to also customize the sizes if you want to, but if you don't want to, that's also totally fine because we're not going to be touching the Kiwi, the KV file, which we were working on in our previous classes. And now if we want to make another button inside of our command, let's say if I play it, it's only going to show me one button. So what if we want to turn it into a second button? So I'm going to put in, let's say self again, self dot, and then I'm going to add the widget. And instead, I'm going to put in B2. So I want B2 to say it is text B. So if I play it out right now, you'll basically see it's going to show me two of these buttons. So if I just go off over here and if I put in self over here and I'm going to put in self dot add widget over here, if I put in B3, it will not show me anything because it is yet not defined. So basically what you have to do is that you're going to put in B3 over here, put in an equal, and I'm going to make another button over here, which is going to define my text or whatever that widget is. So I'm going to put in text. So the text which I want to say inside of this button is, let's say C. Okay, so capital C is going to work too. There we go. And if I play it out, you'll basically see it's going to show me three of these buttons. So basically, this is how you are going to create yourself up these type of buttons. And I'm also going to be showing you the second syntax of how you are going to customize your widgets and your button at the same time. Now, what if you want to customize the orientation of it? If you want to customize the orientation, first thing what we're going to do over here is we're going to make a couple of the spaces and I'm going to make another another line over here, which we are going to use self orientation command. So here I'm going to put in self, and then you're going to put in dot orientation. Okay. So this is self orientation. I'm going to put in an equal. And if I just put in vertical inside of it, let's say I'm going to do is going to be typing in equal and put in that vertical over here. And if I just play it out, you'll basically see this is going to be turned into vertical. So basically by default, it is horizontal. So you can also type in horizontal over here, and you can also remove it horizontal. If I play it up, it's going to be on a horizontal axis. But if I type in vertical again, it's going to be turned into the vertical command, or it's going to be just turned into vertical lines. Okay, so this is basically how simple it is to work with box layouts and how you're basically going to customize it the way you want to. Another thing, what you're going to basically do is going to be pass up the whole thing. So if you want to pass up the whole thing inside of this command, what you're going to basically do is that you have this class over here, right? So inside of this class over here, you're going to make another line and you're going to just type in pass. That's it. And after the pass, you're going to go off over here and you're going to put in triple of this quotations over here. There we go. 3 of these quotations inside, and you can try playing it out. And you'll basically see it is going to be showing you that error over here because it is not still done yet, because you're going to customize it the way you want to, and it's just basically going to postpone up the whole thing, and it's not going to give you any result on your console of the app. Okay, so make sure to keep that thing in mind. You can go off of the KV app and determine it, but as we don't want to work with it, so you can just keep it simple. But if you want to work with the KV file as the second syntax, what you basically have to do is take out this box example. I'm going to copy it, Control C. I'm going to make another line. You're going to close it off with this one over here. And you're going to do is going putting in a colon over here. And inside, I'm going to put in a button. Okay. So the boxing example is going to have a button, just like we've done it over here. So inside of our button, we're going to say the text file is going to say A. I'm going to put in a colon as we're working on the KV file right now. So I'm going to put in A over here, and you can try playing it out. It might show you an error over here. It's because you can see unterminated triple quoted string literal detected at line 25. So basically, this is where it is showing me that it is working with a triple quotation. And when you are working with a triple quotation, it's not going to give me any result. So you have to keep that thing in mind. And if you want to just, remove up the whole string, you just have to do is use triple quotation, not double quotation. It's not going to work. You just have to put in triple quotation, and it's going to basically postpone up the whole command line. Okay, so if I just put in 3 of them, it's postponed. Okay, but if I just turn off the whole thing again, and if I just pass it off, def over here, and if I just play it up, you'll basically see unexpected error. So basically what you have to do is cut up the pass and play it up, and you will basically get all of these all at once. Now, just like I said, I was going to show you different syntax. So one thing you can see that we did not put the extra A over here. If I play it, you'll get 4 of these buttons, but we did not define 4 of these buttons inside of this py file or Python file. We added that Python button inside of this KV file. So you can see both of them are interlooped. So you can either do it in KV, you can also do it in Python. So in this class, I've shown you about how you can use both of these syntax, how you can bypass both of them, how you can postpone them, how you can customize it, and also fix up the errors which you face most of the time, or which you might face most of the time. Okay, so just like I said from the beginning, make sure that your imports are all there, whatever you add. And the thing, what you're going to do is make sure to class it up. Make sure to use these commands or these arguments which I've used. And if you want to bypass it, you have to remove the pass from this specific commands into, and you can go after the KV file and make another button. If we want to make another button, you can also make another button over here. If I put in button, this one over here, and if I just go off over here and type in text and put in a colon and like quotation over here, put in B, and if I play it out, you'll basically see there's going to be another button over here. And you can go back over here and you can change this vertical into horizontal, and it's also going to like change the whole thing. So horizontal over here and play it up. It's going to create 5 of these buttons on the horizontal axis. Okay. So hope you understood everything about this class on how you're going to create yourself the box layouts while making your app in Python. But if you still have any confusion or any question about any part of this lesson, feel free to ask me anytime. I'm always there to help you out. And without any further ado, let's move on to our next class of app development with Python.